Buying a house can be a very stressful time, but if you know what to do and what to expect, then there will be no surprises. So I have 11-step guide to help you buy your house. If you follow those steps, then you might actually enjoy the process. Let's get to it. Step number 1, figuring out your finances. So the good rule of thumb is to spend no more than 30% of your gross income on your monthly mortgage payment. Your monthly mortgage payment will include principal, interest, property taxes, and property insurance. So if your gross income is, let's say, $5,000, then you want to spend no more than $1,500 on your monthly mortgage payment. And the reason for that is just to make sure that you're not house poor, because you will have other expenses. You will have property maintenance, and you also will have some unexpected expenses with the property. You also need to make sure that you have savings. You need savings for a down payment, closing costs, and other expenses. So let's take a look at each category. The most common types of mortgages are conventional, FHA, USDA, and VA loans. So for a conventional loan, usually you will need 3% down payment. For FHA loan, you will need 3.5%. And for VA and USDA, you will need 0 down payment. So if you are buying a $300,000 house, for a conventional loan, you will need to bring $9,000. For FHA loan, you will need to bring $10,500. And for VA and USDA, it will be nothing. Typically, your closing cost will be between 2 and 4% of the purchase price. Your closing cost will include lender's fees, attorney fees, money to set up your escrow account, appraisal fee, and small fees like a fee to record your deed. Just remember that all of the inspections that you're planning on doing, they're still part of your closing cost, but they are not on the loan estimate that the lender provides to you. So usually what I do with my buyers, I give them a rough estimate for all of the inspections that they're planning on doing, and then we add this amount to the loan estimate so you have a better understanding how much money you need for your closing costs. And remember, closing costs are negotiable, so you can always ask the seller to help you pay a portion of it or maybe full amount. Other fees include due diligence fee, earnest money, and appraisal fee. Due diligence fee is a non-refundable fee that is paid directly to the seller, and it is basically just a compensation to the seller for taking the house off the market and giving you a chance to do your due diligence. Earnest money is a refundable deposit if you terminate the contract before the end of your due diligence period. So for example, let's say you had 3 weeks due diligence period, you did the home inspection and some other inspections, and you found something major with the house that you are not willing to deal with, and the seller may be not willing to repair it. So in that case, if you walk away before the end of your due diligence, before the end of those 3 weeks, then you get that deposit back. If you walk away after those 3 weeks, then the seller gets the earnest money deposit. And the last fee is the appraisal fee. It is still part of your closing cost, but usually it does need to be paid up front. Now we're moving to step number 2, choosing a lender and getting pre-qualified. There's so many lenders out there, and they have different programs. So you need to make sure that you shop around, not just for the interest rate, but also for the different terms of your loan. Every lender, before they pre-approve you, they will look at your debt-to-income ratio, and they will look at your credit score. Your credit score needs to be at least 620, ideally, and your debt-to-income ratio needs to be under 43%. Sometimes they can go higher, but it will really depend on the lender, so it's case by case. To calculate your DTI, you need to take your monthly expenses divided by gross income and multiply by 100. So for example, if your expenses are $2,000 a month and your gross income is $5,000, then your DTI will be 40%. And in that case, most likely you will be approved for the loan. It is important to get a pre-approval letter because whenever you find the right house, you will be ready to make an offer. My recommendation is not to waste your time looking at houses without pre-approval letter, because you don't know if you can buy a house and how much you can spend on the house. Step number 3, hiring a real estate agent. When you're buying a house, it's important to have buyer's agent helping you because buyer's agent will be working in your best interest. If you're calling listing agents to show you a property, well, guess what? Listing agents represent sellers, so they're only looking after the seller, not you. When you hiring a buyer's agent, you want to make sure that you look for a local, very knowledgeable, and full-time agent, because the whole process will be a lot easier if you're working with the right agent. Step number 4, looking at houses, the most exciting part of this journey. Since now you are pre-approved, you have a buyer's agent, you're all ready to go, start looking at houses. And more houses you see, more you know what you like and what you don't like. Step number 5, making an offer. You found your dream home and now you're ready to make an offer. So your buyer's agent should be able to help you make the best offer. And I always recommend to reach out to the lender to make sure that they can give you your monthly mortgage payment and you know upfront how much it will be and you're comfortable with that payment. Step number 6, contract. When the seller accepts your offer and signs all required paperwork, then you are officially under contract and you can move on to the step number 7, doing your due diligence. During due diligence process, your lender will be working on your loan, your closing attorney will be working on your title search, and your buyer's agent will be working on setting up all of the needed inspections and negotiating any repairs. Step number 8, reviewing your closing disclosure. A couple days before the closing, you will receive a closing disclosure from your lender showing you all of the final numbers and how much money you will need to bring to the closing table. Step number 9, transferring utilities into your name. It is a very important step because you don't want to move in a house without electricity. Step number 10, final walkthrough. So the day before closing or the day of closing, I take my buyers for the final walkthrough. The purpose of the final walkthrough is just to make sure that everything looks good, that the house is still there, nothing happened to it, there's no damage from the sellers moving out. And you also want to make sure that any personal property or appliances that you agreed on staying are still there. And guess what? After all of this work is done, the last step is to go to the closing attorney, sign your paperwork, and wait for the deed to be recorded, so the house will be officially yours. I hope this video was helpful. Please like it and subscribe to my channel to learn more about real estate.